Hey people, I was finishing up this book of Jude, and everything I read confirmed of what I was talking about in the first couple lines I read the other day. And so while I was doing it, I found this Berean Bible here on Bible Hub, and it breaks down all the poems and songs in context where they fit, and it's easier to break them down and figure out what they mean. The trail it brought me down after I finished it, I went to Revelations, and it brought me down this trail here to Toret, and I'm gonna backtrack through here, and we're gonna learn the meaning of a bunch of words we use every week, and we're gonna learn a lot of other stuff, and I'm gonna backtrack my way back to Jude where I was. So this Toret, this is the Pisces of Egypt, and it's represents a hippopotamus. This is the hippo is the Greek word for horse. Potamus is the Greek word for river, the horse river. And so the Egyptologists, when they go read this off the wall, they read this name as Taweret, and like all the Egyptian names that sound so crazy, it's because they're reading it all backwards, and they're reading this as Tawrt, Taweret, but it sounds better as in terra. When your masons working, they work from the bottom up. You got to lay the foundation, and so this is terra wet, and it makes a lot more sense because the hippopotamus is terra, the territory. A terra is the meaning of the Greek word for earth, the terra wet, and that was their wet season. I guess the hippopotamus moved on into Egypt in Pisces in December, and this is supposed to be the alligator on her back. Well, hippopotamus is a bad animal. It's the most fiercest animal. They will bite a 15-foot crocodile in half. And so this is what led me down that trail is this word when her wet, the rivers, WNER or HERWT, when her wet, the rivers, and where I found it, it was said overflow. This is the Greek, the Septuaginta here, and I pull this off and compare it, and I know that these are two different books. This Hebrew is one book. The Hebrew was a book based on Copernicus model of the solar system, and the Greek was a parody of it based on Ptolemy. But I was chasing this word when I got to reading in Revelations, this word for the seven seals, and I was reading around the seven seals and the four horses, and I found this word looked like Sephirah guide, the Sephiros, and so I went to searching for it, and it's hard to search. You have to find where it says seal in the Old Testament, and it have many different words, and you have to check them all out against the Greek because there'll be different words. But I found it a couple times where it matches up with the Sephiro. So when I found it in the Hebrew, I had pulled it off in Greek with my snipping tool to compare it, and that's when I had run into that. So I read that line, and the water polo. we, O-U-I is we in French. This is when they give the meaning no, and nay is yes, and that's because they were trying to reverse the language. They didn't want you to understand, or they were trying to change the meaning of the original writing. But the water polo we dynasty, Sebesia, Tain the Agapin to Potamoy. So yeah, if you play in water polo, you're probably gonna play a better game on a hippopotamus there. We dynasty. We rule. We dynasty. Sebesia. And I'm not going to look these up. I already got too far off course. I'm trying to get back to where I was now. But agape. Agape, that's the mouth wide open, or the brotherly love. And that's what hippos do. They fight all day long. And whoever has the biggest mouth is the winner. Agape. That's what agape means. The mouth wide open. You can see there's definitely going to be something to learn by going and searching into that. But this is what I was looking for when I got there. It was the seals. And so Gary asked me about a year ago about what I thought about the chakras, and I'm a believer. I was meditating a couple years ago. I don't remember which meditation I was listening to, but I didn't get very far under, and I had this electric shock in one thigh. It was it wasn't painful, but it was electricity, and I deal with electricity a lot all my life, and weld, and I get short circuited all the time, and it doesn't really bother me. They say it has to do with the O negative blood that lets the current flow through easier. But yeah, I just started thinking about, and I started moving that electric through my body, and I could move it up and down at will, just as fast as I could say it. It would go to my foot and come up to my arm, the right side, left side, and I was just moving this charge around at will. And so I'm definitely a believer. But the Sephro seemed to be the Hebrew word for the chakras. They're called Sephro in the Hebrew. The Sephro, S-Q-R-A-G-I-D-A, the Sephro guide. And so that's why I went to searching for this. And so we see in the Hebrew it says Simeni. Simeni, and then the word for the seal is sometimes I'll see it, and it doesn't have the K on here. It just starts with the HTM, the Hotam. So that way I know that this K means to give the Hotam. The Simeni, to give Hotam. And I haven't investigated this. I just found this today. I haven't investigated enough to see exactly what all this meant, but you better believe that this will be the next thing I'm going to investigate. But to divide what from all, O-L, all, and the tack, this reads backwards, Kabal, K-B-L, and that is the ancient spelling of Kabbalah, the K-B-L, the Kabal, and then back the other way, B-K, the Kabal enfold, to give Hutam, to give the seal, all cores, or all core. That's your core, is your Sephro, or your or your chakra. The cores, it's got the tack, it reads backwards, Kourz, or the core tool. Z is a tool, first to see fold. The tool first to see fold. And so the old picture of this is probably one of the first pictures that you saw that went with the Bible. It was the tool first to see fold. So when you got to the work of tools, this is the first tool to learn is how to operate these chakras. And this just makes total sense because it all comes from inside. The psi, many, to give hoot from. All cabal enfold, to give hoot from. All cores tool first to see fold. The key, and then backwards and forwards again. The tool see cut life, or these see cut life. These OZ. Come what may, death. To come what, and then love looks more like the habit. The EBE is the haba. It starts with A and reads backwards. The haba, as in habitat. The house life. The haba, and where it lives. The haba fish. The haba fish, to give soul. To give soul. Finea. To give soul. Finesse. The first spy. A recipe. The Fine recipe. The first spy. Recipe. RSPI. RSPIE. To say. Salabeti. The celibate, and that's what they say is the celibacy, to save up your sexual energy, and yeah, that definitely helps. I'm not sure about it, that's the only way, but I know if you save up that sexual energy, when you do kick off, get your chakra system lined up, it fires that third eye better. The celibate. And so we compare these words from the Greek and thes, Thes, or Tes. Looks like they read it totally backwards here. Set. The test me whose Sephiro guide. The pie. The pie is the mouth or the circle. The Pytane, the Cardian. The Cardian is not necessarily the heart, but it's the system that pumps the life through your body. The cardiovascular system is your heart, your lungs, taking oxygen to your brain. The Cardian Su is given your, but I believe it's under. The fire, see connected, is usually under. When you see fire, it's connected under. It's coming from whatever under is burning. As the Sephiro guide, the pie, the mouth, the circle, tone, the Braxony, in ration, power, Su, under, Sitai, the Krata. Krata is the Kratia, the power you. Krata is the ancient Greek god of power. There was 4 of them there, the 4 brothers and sisters, and we're going to run into them often in the Greek. but the krata was the power, as Thanatos, the death, the Thanatos, he agape again, the mouth wide open, the oval, the gape, the scallopos, the scaleros, and you see that is the agape scaleros as Hades, as hell, zealous. And the scaleros, that's an ancient word meaning schooled. The schoolboy is a scalero. Schoolgirl is scalero. And we can see that comes here, the love hard, as in the habit of fish. The habit of fish is the school. Fish, the fish habitat. They live in a school. The agape scaleros, as Hades, zealous. Zealous is not jealous. Zealous is the act of zeal, of passion, a great enthusiasm for a cause, to pursuit of. It's never jealousy. The peri, the circle, petera. Peri, petera. The circle, patera, of this circle, peripatera, the pyros, the pyros, the fires, flogs, flags, flodges, what this, the flags, what this, the fires, flags, with this. And so I wasn't wanting to get off in this. I was wanting to get off on that Jude and finish it up. But you see why I skip around so much. I always find something that's more interesting that I get into. But let me backtrack. We see that's going to be real interesting. That's probably going to be the next movie there. Chasing these Sephiro guides. And that's probably the most important part of everything to learn throughout the Bible is your Sephiros and how to control your body. You know, that's probably a ancient way of healing, running that electric power through your body, moving it around. So this is what sent me searching in that direction in Revelations in 6. I got to the 5th seal, and it says, to out. You remember out, that means to see, mark life. It means to out, to put it out there where everybody could see. To out the notion tain, the pimpton, the pimptain, the 5th Sephiro guide. They dawn, the ID, the hand see, or the hand light, or they dawn, to put on, to wear. They don the hypocato. I'm not sure about this, but we know hypo is under. Hypo is under, hyper is above. Hypocato, to connect. The cystereo. The cystereo to is psyche's tone, esophagamenon. And so that's what caught me right there, was that esophagamenon. And you know, the esophagus, that's your throat chakra. That is your 5th chakra. And so that's when I stopped and went searching. But let me back on up to this Jude. So I was in Revelation 1:20 here, and I run into this word, the mysterion, to mysterion tone of the Epta Asteron, the 7 stars. And I remember this mysterion, it looked a lot like the Hebrew word for Egypt that I discovered was also the word for Jupiter. And so I went to check and see where it was used at. And I ran into this in 17:5. And it's talking about to the mouth, to the pie, to the mouth, to metapon of this Sinoma, the name, to Gegramanon, to carry the gramanon, to carry the writings, not just was written, but to carry the gramanon, the writings, the mysterion, and I noticed that this was all written big, and that's what I found that other Bible to see how this would be placed. And so that's sure enough, it was to the mouth, to metaton of this name, to carry the grammaton, to carry the writings. And it says, "O Babylon, O Megala." Megala is the word they give great, mega, huge, big. The Babylon, O Megala, O mother tone, the pornon. So this is the one they give the meaning whore, the pornon. And tone, the badal, the badali. The badali is one of the first stones in Genesis 4. The badalium. So, but it's in the Dali Gammaton, and Gammaton is the name of all those word generators, the gammatons, the tetragrammaton, and all those word generators you see in ancient Ark are all called the gammatons. Have some other name before them, but it's to generate words that change with time. And then this gis, and this is what they usually say is the earth, but this gis is like logistics. The gis is the position, the place, the log, the place, the logistics. GHS, gis. That's the word given earth all the way through the Greek Bible, but it doesn't mean earth. It means the position on earth, or the position wherever. It's in position in heavens. This gis. So when I saw that, I went to scanning through this Bible to see how they would separate all the songs. I went to reading a bunch of these songs and poems, because I knew they'd be easier to read like this when they're separate from the rest of the lines. I ran into this one here with the 12 lines of to fold the fools, of Judah. And it's got the 12 lines. The dodeca is said to be 12, but I'm not sure about that meaning 12. A deca is a 10, and this is possibly to the end, through end of dec. And so the 10 doesn't always mean 10 fingers. Sometimes your 10 meaning the end of the cycle, to mark the end cycle. The 10 or ton is sometimes you're counting cycles of 12 or cycles of 60, and you use 12s. And so that might not mean 12, but the end of the cycle of 12, the dodeca. the N10, Deca. Then I ran into this in Revelation 19, rejoicing in heaven. Then it starts with meta. Meta meaning from within. For metamorphosis, from within changing. Meta, from within taught. The kousia, the sound, as phone, as the voices of the megalon, of the great on, oxlo, the polo. Polo is poly is many, and Apollo is destroyer. You'll see there's another word usually that comes before this when they give it the meaning destroyer. I don't remember. We're going to run into it sometime though. The oxlo polo into the orano. This is the word given the meaning heavens in the first line of the Greek Bible. Of the legion to command tone. The command tone is in to T-O-N-E, the tone, to command the sound. And then Alleluia. I knew that's what that was given the meaning of that. But if you look at it close, this is Allah, A-L-L-H. Allah. And this L-O-U isn't necessarily L-O-U. This could be L-O-V. The U-V and the W is all the same letter. Allah love ya. So when you're in church with your hands up and you're singing hallelujah, that's what you're saying is Allah, God love ya. Allah love ya. So this is that book of Jude I did first couple lines from the other day. This is the Apostolic Bible. And they say it's got two parts. It starts with the contend for the faith. And the beware of evil men, starting at 1:4. And then at 17 regarding the end time. And then the same thing in the Berean Bible. It says it's starting with greetings from Jude, and that was more like I was reading the other day, the greeting. And then God's judgment on the ungodly, starting at 3 now. And then a call to preserve at 17. And then a doxology, the 24 and 25. So a doxology, and they call it of praise to God. And that's like brotherly love, meaning agape. Because it is also, comes from doxa and logia, meaning seems logical. And from the end, that seems more logical, because you'll see this end with amen. Amen. That amen isn't what you were told. Amen is where your word amendment come from. Amendment to the Constitution. Oh, that seems logical. We'll make it amend. You done messed up and you have to make your amends. You have to go apologize. Yes, you were right. That seems logical. And we make amend. You see this all through the Bible. It's in the amendments. So if you haven't heard it yet, you heard it here first, that the Masonic leaders are trying to correct the New Testament. So yeah, the Pope has heard my word, and he's going to go ahead and rewrite it and get it straight. And this is the Israeli News Network, and I believe he's a CIA operative. He pretends to be able to read the Hebrew, but he's just reading their interpretation. He don't have a clue. All right, so number one, the first problem I see with this letter is Judas. It's not the name of the person writing this letter. Whoever wrote this is super genius. This is something you do in the first grade. You put your name on the top. When an educated man is going to sign his letter at the bottom, and you can see where he signed it here, a John as. And he says, to this the pants to use a John as. He's trying to say that you just shit your pants when you read this. So when you address a letter, you do it at the top. This is who the letter's to. The Judas, the court, to make his see to. The cross rests to the duelists of the idle foes, of the noble enemies, the lawyers. Through the joke is on you. Through the joke to see into is on thou, the patrie. The gate from now is to his, to make his see to the cross restore. And their clock is getting off. They can't keep their clock right because of procession. And their astrology ain't right. And back in that time, all the laws were working on astrology. If it was in the stars, you could kill somebody and get away with it if you had a good astrology, a lawyer who knew his astrology. The best astrologist was the best lawyer. It's just the way the law worked back then. The tetramenos call to. The call to is the sun connect from into, the rain to agape, the playthony. So if this is going too fast for you, watch that movie I posted yesterday about this, and I slowed it way down and read this. But the gate to passing speed of the ponomenos, the creation story, to graph in them in the surrounding this coin them on. The Sotrius, that's the goddess of protection that I meet in my dream there. The Anajek and Eshon of the Grapsy, the connection of the gravity from within. The Paraclon of the pagan ecstasy, the apex of the paradisi, those to his agios pisti. The Paraclon, the things you don't learn in school of the paganizes. The apex, the top, the peak of to stop these, to his the agios, the percentage taken from the exchange rate, the pester, it messing up the exchange rate, and not just the money changing hands, but the way the exchange rate is changing with the planets. You have different gods that come every 2 hours. If you study the 6th and 7th book of Moses, or some of them magic books that talk about that, how the gods change every day, every 2 hours. It's different. You have an exchange rate, and it was messing up. And this for those who really believe in astrology, really into it, they understand this. So if you switch Bibles to this apocalyptic Bible, you see where it says condemnation of the ungodly ones here. And it'll change up to the judgment of the impious. And there's several words with letter differences, and there's several lines with 2 to 6 letter or 6 words removed. It reads a little different, and over here where I wasn't real sure about these markings, how that read, and they go ahead and fix that. Where it only reads one way. The parasitical garden men of the old progeny grammaton that handed down the writings, or handed down the word, taught to crime of the ungodly, tamed to thou, them on the charity, the meditating, to self-place, to self-place this assilogy, this evil deeds, to tone from the one on the desperate chain, to carry on them on, to make his own, the selfishness of the Christian, to make his own Christian ornomina, the nominal amount, of huge amount, the hypomenes through the hymns of Boulomé, the Boulomé editors. Editor is a bird that sits on a crocodile's back, and the crocodile goes and takes the big chunks out, and the editor, he picks out the little bits. He's the editor. He's picking out the small things. And from as the apex taught to see tie, to carry Leon, to the Carios Leon, to fold the gist, the position of a Jupiter. A Jupiter. There was no such thing as Egypt. That's a new invention. Nobody around the area ever heard of Egypt over there. So says to the deuteron. Deuteron is the nucleus of a heavy water hydrogen atom. The nucleus of a heavy water hydrogen atom. Deuteronomy. Deuterium is radioactive hydrogen, and deuteron is its nucleus. To use from the Pistis Sanctus of pole is in. Oh, Santa's pole. To use from the north. To use from the Pista, the track. The Sanctus Apollos in. The Aggelos, it to use from the Terra Sanctus, tain the Aton Arch Allah. The Aton, that sounds like the god of Egypt there, the Aton, the sun god of Egypt, the circle with the rays coming out of it, the Arch Allah, the Apollo Pontus, the Pontus is the Pope, the Apolli, the of many Pontus, of the many Pontus, to the Ideon, to the hand to make on, to the identification, to the Ideon, the weak it trion, the wicked trion, this christen, the megalus, from the great Hammerus demise of adios, to bye-bye, the hypazophon of the tetracan. So I'm not trying to get all these words. Some of them are going to define themselves as we go on. But as Sodom and Gomorrah, see, in the Greek or in the Hebrew, there was no G in Gomorrah. It was the Sodom love. So this could be to lift the Amora. Homo is the same, as in homosexual, the same sex. The homo is the same. To lift the homo, the same, or the amor, the love first, the sodomy, but love. To right, Aya is right. Aya is the sign of your right hand. To Aya, the round, to the right around. What to is the police. What's called the cities is the police, the poles, the cities marked by the poles, and that's the area that gets policed, is in the city. The sheriff gets the county. The police gets the city. The police tone the homoion, the likened or the same as like, the homoion, the homo John. What to is the police tone, the like ion. The taught to is the tropon of the Copernicus, the Copernicus, the Copernicesi, the Copernicesi, the fornication. That's the Copernicus that they give them even porn, or the prostitute is the porn we're seeing in that line about Babylon either earlier, and and that's not what they're saying here. That's what it's been turned to as they've tried to change this letter. This letter was from the people who didn't care for the flat Earth theory anymore, and they was writing this to the Pope. We're tired of you flat Earth, and we in the new Copernicus revolution, and so it was then changed, and everything he didn't like, he called it porn and whore, whatever. To the appellate to say, it's having gone, done been gone through court, and now it's to appellate to say. It's the appellate courts to decide. And we'll shoot through this, and I'm going to show you a couple things. This is getting real long, but I'm going to show you a couple things that they're trying to hide that's right in your face. To see through the Michael O. Archangelos out to Diablo. The out is when he's been outed. To see through the Michael O. Archangelo out to Diablo. He's been outed as Diablo. And this blasphemies, Allah, they pen. It's not said, it's what they write, they pen. And then the blasphemy sin, who say through the physicos, or through the psychos, as to allodge zoo, the living creatures, the zoo, and the plane to Balaam. The plane is like the opposite of delusion. It's plain to see. The antilogia is dispute. That would be the for anti, the replacement for logic. And the Apollontu, they're trying to make this look like Apollyon, the destroyer. The core Apollontu, to the core Apollontu. The Nephilah, It's the clouds now. The Nephilim. The Nephilim Android. It's the clouds waterless. Andre like android. It's like a Andre is man, often in the Greek Andre. It's now the Android, the waterless, the Nephilim waterless, the Nephilim man. The parapheromony of Dendra. Dendra, that's over there in Egypt. Dendra was the school from the south, from up the river. The stars wandering. You know, we were told that the Egyptians called the planets wandering stars, and this word for this is the Asteris of the planetae. Why don't they just tell us that? Well, they actually called them the planets. That's where our word planets comes from. A star's planet. So it's pretty easy to see what this is about. And I don't know, when I read over this first time, I probably got about half of the words. And if I was to read over about 5 times, I'm pretty sure I could get every word down. And I don't have no great education. Anybody can do it. Nobody's ever tried. The mono, the one sofa. The mona sofa. Thou sotri, the protection. The one sofa, the one wisdom thou protect. Them on dosa. On doxy. That was that word at the beginning. The doxology or seems logical. And then you see on here now that they removed the Sophie out of it. Now it's just the mono, the one theo. And they changed this to the one God, Savior. But it was the one wise, the one Sophie, thou Sotri, to protect him on. The doxa seems to the megalosoon, the great soon, the great son of Kratos, the power to this, to exousia, to excelsia, to exousia, to none, excelsia to none, to this pantus, to use a John as amen, to shit your pants amendment, the shit your pants amendment. And you see they changed several words in this one. Before the pantos to a John as a Jonas. Before the pantus to a Jonas, to none. To this pantus to use a John as. Kratos, the god or personified spirit demon of strength, might, power, and sovereign rule. He and his 3 siblings, Nike, Baia, and Zealous, were the winged enforcers of the god Zeus. Angel-like beings who stood in attendance of the heavenly throne. The son of Pallas and Styx. Pallas, one of the Titans. Siblings Nike, Baia. Baia was the personification of force, anger, and raw energy. Zealous, demon that personifies dedication, emulation, eager rivalry, envy, jealousy, and zeal. Theogony, describing the origins of genealogies of the Greek gods. So Sister Baia, that's probably that Sibia, the ungodly ones. So I hope y'all got something out of this. when you see these names in here, Suzette, Phoba, Suzette, fear of Suzette, you just if you just Google the Greek gods Suzette and or gods, ancient gods Suzette, Google these names, and you get a better definition of what they mean. All right, it's almost 5 o'clock, 5 in the morning. All right, good day, folks.